I want to do. I would like to welcome everyone to the CPS Coordinators Forum. My name is Mandy Seeteller. I am the statewide CPS coordinator for Alaska. I'm also the vice chairperson for the National Child Passenger Safety Board. And on behalf of all the board members, I want to welcome all of you today. But today we have a very special child passenger safety guest speaker. Michael Graham was sworn in as the 45th member of the National Transportation Safety Board, NTSB, on January 3rd, 2020. He began his career in the US Navy as a naval aviator, flying A-7s and FA-18s, completing 2 operational deployments. Graham is a certified airline pilot with 10,000 flying hours and is type rated in 6 different citation models. Prior to joining the NTSB, he was the Director of Flight Operations, Safety Security, and the standardization for Textron Aviation Incorporated. Every 2 years, the NTSB releases a most wanted list, which identifies the top transportation safety improvements that can save lives. Each NTSB board member selects topics to focus their advocacy efforts, and member Graham has selected strengthen occupant protection. As the NTSB's chosen advocate to strengthen occupant protection, including child passenger safety, member Graham is excited to speak today with the state, territories, and regional child passenger safety coordinators throughout our country. Along with the National Child Passenger Safety Board, please join me in welcoming NTSB member Graham. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Now you have an understanding why an aviator wants to talk to this group, hopefully.
Yes.
Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to our next 20, 30 minutes here. And I got a little presentation for you. And at the end, I'll be open for any questions you may have. So I'll monitor the chat box there at the end for any questions you have. So let me share my screen and we'll go from there if that's okay.
Wonderful.
One more time. There we go. All right, everybody see the screen okay, I hope?
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Great, great. So for those of you that don't know what the mission of the NTSB is, our mandate is to actually investigate all civil aviation accidents, but we also investigate significant accidents in the other modes out there. And that includes rail, pipeline, marine, and obviously highway. And out of that, we have recommendations that are aimed at preventing future accidents and crashes in the future. If you look at the NTSB, we actually have a full board now. We have 5 board members, and that's everybody there. I'm the good-looking one in the bottom in the middle there for you. And we have about 400 staff people. So when you think about all the various transportation safety modes out there, we're actually a pretty small agency as far as the federal government goes. So we don't have a whole lot of people there. So working with groups like yourselves is very important to our advocacy, and hopefully we can support each other in our mission here. So these are the latest numbers we have on fatality rates amongst all the modes. Out of 2018 is the last year that we have the full numbers for. And as you can see, through all the different modes there, unfortunately, the biggest number of fatalities we have is in the highway mode. And that obviously makes sense when you look at just about all of us own and drive a car, transportation, we're on the roads every day, whereas not everybody owns a plane or has a pipeline running through their community. So the numbers are, kind of make sense when you look at that. If you notice the grade crossings there between highway and railroad, they split those out between the two, just for to understand that. I haven't quite understood that myself as what goes in rail, what goes in highway, so to speak. But we're talking over 36,000 fatalities a year on the highways. So it's a lot of fatalities in this area. We want to spend a lot of attention because I think we can save a lot more lives out there, as I know you all think so also. Let me talk a little bit about our Office of Highway Safety. Like I said, we have about 4 different offices, and then we also have a research and engineering group that does a lot of background work for us and also runs some safety studies for us. But our office is only about 30 people, of which about 2/3 are investigators, and they're scattered all across the country. We have an operations center that is monitored 24/7. We have a couple people in there. When we get notice of an accident or crash, it goes through them. They filter that out to our directors of our modal offices. And from there, we determine whether we're going to launch or not to an accident. So we have about 3 main teams in the highway office for highway safety. Out of that, obviously, we can't go to every highway crash out there with that small number. So how do we choose what we're going to launch to? And in this case, we use about 4 different criteria. One of them's high public interest. The other 3 are newer emerging issues. And let me talk a little bit about those as I break them out. High public interest, school bus crashes are things we like to go to. Child safety and school busing is very important. It's also important to parents. So that is a big deciding factor on when we go to some of these launches. So we go to just about every major school bus crash out there because we don't want the public to lose confidence in that transportation mode, because it really does have an awesome safety record, and we don't want to have the public lose confidence in that mode. Other things we look at are new and emerging issues. A lot of the new technology and driver assistance and automation in the vehicles we're looking at very closely. I don't know if you follow us at all, but we've had a few Tesla board meetings and accidents we've looked at that had some significant issues. We're also looking very closely at lithium-ion batteries in these electric cars too. They create quite a hazard for first responders and second responders out there. The people that actually have to tow these to the salvage yards, where unfortunately these batteries can reignite just almost spontaneously, so to speak. Other things we look at is this an accident we can make a difference on? Is there something that, a recommendation that might come out of this that would be significant, that we think could help save lives? And then the last one is, do we have the resources? You know, we may be thin at a couple other types of accidents at this, or crashes at this point. Do we have the resources to go to it? These are the types of investigations we see in the highway. The center one obviously being the school buses. I don't know if you've heard of the recent one in Eastern Tennessee. Utility vehicle struck a school bus. We are investigating that one. The new technologies in the top right there, the Williston, Florida. Bridge collapse. I don't know if you remember that one back in 2007 in Minneapolis. Significant ones of those. Grade crossings. It has to be a fairly significant event, loss of life, and I think the fire on the rail vehicle and all made a huge difference. And then the motor coach bus accident with the tractor trailer. Those are significant accidents to us that we go look at. You know, and the big thing about the school buses is, you know, on a normal year, which we haven't had a normal year, but every day there's over 500,000 school buses out there transporting 25 million students. And it's really significant that we keep a close eye on that. So what are the aspects of our investigation? What are the things we're looking at? We try to look at every aspect when we're determining the probable cause and the contributing factors to these crashes out there. We like to say man, machine, and environment, but these are some of the other areas we look at. The human performance, obviously, we're looking very closely at distraction now, cell phone usage. We can determine if A driver was actually using their cell phone during a crash. So human performance is very important. We look at all factors of the vehicle, and one of those being the survival factors and occupant protection. How well, obviously were they seatbelted in? How well did the vehicle handle the impact forces? How well was the human protected with the seatbelt and airbags to that extent? And then any of the environmental factors, the weather, rain, snow, highway factors, road surfaces, signage, things like that. We look at all aspects of that, but you're all probably a little more interested in the survival factors, I would think. So what comes out, so this is kind of the process at a glance of what goes on. The first part is on the on-scene investigation, and that's usually the most complex part of what we do. What we do in this case is we are there just to basically recover the evidence. We don't do any analysis in the on-scene investigation. We are just recovering any of the evidence out there, perishable evidence, that will be analyzed later. And that's a very difficult process when you're talking not just on the scene, but it might be an operator. We're looking at their records. We're looking at the weather. And then we'll get into the vehicle later at a salvage yard and really look at the survival factors after that. Second part of it, within about 2 weeks, you'll see a preliminary report from the NTSB. And that's usually just factual information that we release, no analysis, just the facts of the crash or the accident. Eventually, we could have a public hearing. I haven't had one personally myself as a board member, but that's just to unveil additional information towards a crash. Trying to think of ones that you might remember was probably the Miracle on the Hudson with the crew, Captain Sullenberg and that group. There was a public hearing on that to try to get more information out about what happened, so we could determine the probable cause of that accident. Eventually, the bigger investigations will actually make it to a board meeting, and that's where the board comes together and we determine basically with what's presented to us, we deliberate and come up with the findings, the probable cause, and the safety recommendations. And then a few weeks after that, the final report is actually put out. You see in the bottom there's a comment about the government and the Sunshine Act. The 5 board members are actually, they're all nominated by the president and we're actually confirmed by the Senate. So it's, even though it's a political process, I would tell you that none of the board members are let politics get in the way of what we do. Since we're an independent agency and we're not a regulator, we are there just looking out for the safety and the interest of the public and in transportation. And each one of us brings a different safety background, many of us from different transportation modes to the board. So our sole interest, and many of us have spent their whole career in some aspect of safety, is for the safety of the traveling public. Like I said, the NTSB is not a regulatory agency, so we don't write rules and regulations. But the biggest thing that comes out of our investigations and our safety studies are actually the recommendations we make, in hopes that if these things are followed and acted upon, they will hopefully prevent future accidents in the future. So this is the most important thing we put out. This is our product to the public. And who do we send these safety recommendations to? We send them out to the regulators. So like in this case, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, is one that receives a lot of our recommendations. The industry, manufacturers, state and local governments, safety associations and organizations all receive our recommendations. like I said too, some of the other things we do is we do safety studies and special reports out there. And a lot of these are driven by our various transportation mode departments and also our research and engineering group that helps do these studies and these reports. Some of the recent reports we've had out there, I don't know if anybody's seen them, is the bicycle safety, pedestrian safety, school bus crashes, and we're getting ready to release one on lithium-ion batteries in a lot of these electric cars that are creating safety issues for our responders out there. One of our other big products of advocacy is highlighting our most wanted list. And this has been around for about 25 years. We've been using this. We're coming to the end of a 2-year cycle on our 2019-2020 most wanted list. And this is just highlighting our some of our recommendations that we really feel that if we act upon these quickly and swiftly, we could minimize injuries, save lives significantly in a quick period of time. So we put a lot more effort in these. As you can see, we have a top 10 list here. They're not always 10, but lately they've always been the top 10. And these are areas we think can make a significant interest or a significant change quickly. As you see, 7 I have highlighted there. 2 of them that I spend a lot of my time on are strengthening occupant protection and implementing collision avoidance systems in all new highway vehicles. Even though board members advocate for all of these, since we have 5 board members and 10 most wanted list items, we take 2 of them on as our interest area, and we spend most of our time advocating for these. And those just happen to be my 2 areas. But as you see, out of these 7 of the 10 actually have significant recommendations toward the highway safety. So very important. And we got a new list coming out early next year. So strengthening occupant protection. You all know we can save lives out there if we could just get people to buckle up. The numbers still show it out there that not everybody's buckling up when they drive. I don't understand it, but nearly 50% of the people that are killed in highway accidents are not buckled up. And you know this better than I do. So the greatest defense we have towards this is making sure we get people to properly belt themselves in, and more importantly, make sure people use child's car seats correctly. So that's really our first advocacy area, and I know you all have been working this very, very closely for a number of years. And I appreciate the chance to come out here and talk to you about this today. Go on here. I don't know, I'm sure you're probably aware of all these statistics here. There's a lot of information here on this slide. But what's of significance is over 1/3 of the child passenger vehicle occupants that are killed are unrestrained, and that number is just too high when you look at it. Every day, 3 children and almost an estimated 520 children are injured. So 3 are killed and over 500 are injured every day in traffic crashes in the United States. That number's just too high. We want to lower it, as I know you do. That 3% number on the first bullet there, that actually is, when you look at the grand scheme of the fatalities, you know, any fatality is too many, but 3% is very low. When you look at underage, 14 and under actually makes up about 19% of our population. Only 3% of those fatalities there are 14 and under. So that really is a credit to the good work that you do out in the field. But as you know, we have more work to do. We want to try to drive that number to 0. You probably all know the NHTSA recommendations out there for child car seats and booster seats better than I do. These break it out here. Of significant importance here, as you see, it seems as children get older, the use of car seats and booster seats go down and are not compliant. So the non-compliance as they get older increases almost to what they're between 4 and 7 years old to almost 30%. We have some information on that. And we're finding the big trends here are parents are moving their children to the next step prior to what the NHTSA recommendation states. You all know the safety benefit of booster seats is too often overlooked out there. And as kids age, the incompliance with these increases. So we need to get a hold on this and get the information out there so this doesn't continue to happen. We don't have a lot of recommendations as far as the NTSB goes. We do have a couple, which is great because that allows us to continue to advocate our advocacy work towards this. You see the first one we have there is from 1996. It is still open out there, which is unfortunate. But we're still working the mandatory child restraints and seatbelt laws. And a matter of fact, I've been working a list here I got just yesterday from our highway group, trying to figure out what's a primary enforcement, what's a secondary enforcement state. And it can get quite complex, but we really need to continue to advocate for this. And we really were looking for the primary advocacy or primary enforcement of mandatory seatbelt use for all vehicle seating positions is what we're pushing for here from the NTSB side of the house. Finally, as you know, the places where we make a difference are with the states. It's not necessarily with the federal government, but it's with the states. And it's what you do on the local level and the state level that makes a huge difference when it comes to occupant protection and specifically child passenger safety. The laws in 2018, we found out that drivers involved in fatal crashes that were unrestrained, over half the children were also unrestrained in the back seat or the front seat, and that we need to change. Seatbelt and child car seat rates are higher in states that have primary enforcement than secondary enforcement states. So they're about 5% more people are using the seatbelts in these primary enforcement states when they know they can be pulled over for not wearing a seatbelt. And we need to continue to push for the states to have primary enforcement seatbelt laws. And finally, with the NTSB just being 400 employees and 5 board members, we can't do all this on our own, especially when you talk about all the different modes of transportation that we make recommendations and advocate for safety recommendations. So it's really important that the NTSB and myself, we recognize the great work that your board does. And I specifically wanted to speak with you today and thank you for the work you do, because I've always considered myself a kind of a boots on the ground kind of person, even though I'm in a position that's a little different now. But I've always been the person down on the getting my boots muddy and in the weeds and working with operators on increasing the safety of their operation as far as aviation goes. And I know that's what your board does. You have people working on the local and state level that are getting dirty, working with legislatures on trying to make a difference and pass legislation to increase the safety of our children as passengers in vehicles. So I want to thank you all for the great work you do. And I want to thank you for the time today to speak with you. And at this point, I'm more than willing to take any questions if you have any. And I'll stop sharing.
Well, thank you, Member Graham. I wish we were all in person so we could give you a huge round of applause. We really appreciate all of your statements today. I'm going to read you some of the chat box, or can you see the chat box? Do you want to read them yourself?
Yeah, let me stop sharing and I'll look up the chat box here. Here we go.
All right.
So, and if you want to just read some off, that's fine by me.
All right. It looks like they're just starting to come in, but what I want to tell you that I really appreciate is the effort that you've made to understand what we do as child passenger safety advocates. You seem to really understand our passion and what we are looking for. One statement that you did make during the presentation: these safety recommendations, if acted upon, would prevent future tragedies similar to these. And I think that embodies the work of child passenger safety technicians. So Adele Polson from Westat, have any of the automated vehicle crashes you have investigated involved any child passengers?
At this point, all the ones I've been involved with and the ones that I've read, the last that have gone to board meetings that we've looked at in the last couple of years, they have not. They have not involved that. We've really focused a lot on this full driver automation that some of these manufacturers are calling their systems, and we know that they're not full automation systems. There is no full autopilot car out there right now. There are some autonomous small vehicles that are working a closed track or a closed area, enclosed area at a very slow 10 or 15 mile an hour speeds, but there's nothing that's really fully autonomous at this point.
Thank you. Denise Donaldson, thanks, Member Graham. Can you recommend anything the child passenger safety community can be actively doing to advocate for children in the age of autonomous vehicles?
Gosh, I don't have anything specific as far as the NTSB goes. What is of concern to me is a lot of these vehicles are now have large battery packs. Many of them are located, well, in various areas of the vehicle. So if they are involved in a major crash, the batteries can be damaged. And when you're talking lithium ion battery damage, that can be very dangerous. We're getting ready to come out with a report on this, at least for first responders and second responders out there, of how to deal with these. But my concern is if you're involved in one of these crashes, of getting everybody out of the vehicle, and hopefully there's no damage to the battery pack, because they can create some really bad fires. We don't have any specific recommendations yet, but that's of concern right now.
Thank you. Bonnie asks, do you work with troopers or officers on scene? And do you request their crash report, or is your investigation separate?
When our investigative teams go out, we work quite closely with the troopers and officers out there. They usually have a simultaneous ongoing investigation when we're also investigating. We have a mandate to be able to show up at any one of these sites and do an accident investigation, but we work closely with them. Normally, the state patrol or the local authority will be a party member to our investigation. So not all the expertise is in the NTSB, but we use maybe vehicle manufacturers, state troopers, our party status to our investigation. We use their expertise to come to basically get the facts and come to a due analysis and come to a conclusion as to what the probable cause of the accident is.
Bonnie has a follow-up question to that. Do you have any authority with regard to getting information from different entities, or do you use search warrants, et cetera, to use the officer's warrants? Also, the stats you put on your slides, do you get those from NHTSA, or do you have your own means?
Okay, let me ask the last one, or answer the last one. Yeah, we're using the NHTSA stats for highway. We use those directly. Some of the other ones, other modes, we use other organizations. It might be the FAA or our own statistics, but the highway, we pretty much use NHTSA's statistics directly. They're very comprehensive and they're better than what we could do ourselves. As far as the authority getting information, our process is a non-legal process. Okay, we have statutory authority to investigate and come to conclusion of probable cause. But again, we don't have what I call a horse in the race. We're an independent and transparent agency. So we look at it from a different perspective and a different eye. And we don't use warrants. And so any of the legal side of the house is not part of what we do. We do have a legal office to work with these entities to inform them that, no, we can ask for a witness statement. We can use this kind of information, but the data that comes out of our investigations are not to be used for legal proceedings per our statutory requirements. So like when I talked about party members to our investigation, we never have litigators as part of that. That's they're not allowed. So we want to get to the safety issue. We don't want to get to the who's going to pay for this, who's to blame for this issue. That's not what we do. We're there to determine why and how it happened and hopefully prevent it from happening again.
I'm glad to hear that part. Ron would like to know, what strategies have you seen that have been effective in helping promote the use of booster seats for the older children? Or what ideas do you suggest for this group?
Honestly, we've been talking about this for the last few weeks. I think some of the information campaigns you see on television are probably the best I've seen. I don't know. I know some of the local folks here in the DC area have how to install your car seat or your booster seat correctly, and they usually have state patrol at the different dealerships doing this. I think that's wonderful, but I think the information campaigns on television are probably the best. Matter of fact, my assistant Michael and I were just talking about that a little while ago about the best ads we've seen or marketing campaigns we've seen on television, and which ones we like best. So I think that's the best way that I'm aware of at this point.
Well, I think one of the biggest burning questions that we have too are you both planning to become CPS technicians?
Well, I think
we try to recruit everyone. We
okay.
invite everyone to that group.
So you educate me. What's involved with that?
Well, great question. A lot of the people on this call are instructors for the curriculum, but it's a 3 to 4 day course depending on the instructor timeline. And you will learn everything you need to educate parents and caregivers and other members about how to properly install their car seat and harness their child in their vehicle. So you learn all about seatbelt systems and car seats, and then you will be a nationally certified child passenger safety technician.
Well, it sounds like something that I need to do then. I think, especially in this telework environment, and we're not going out as much as we used to until things open up, I think I might just have to find some time to do that. And
we would really love to have you. And we like to invite everyone to join our CPS circle. We're very excited to share our messages of safety. Well, does anyone have any final questions? Let me, Tracy's already inviting you to her course in Montana.
Okay. Well,
but does anyone have any final questions? Michael Hampton, we would like to hear from all of you about what you believe may be the best strategies to promote booster seat compliance. So Michael's inviting all of our CPS advocates to share those, because we all understand that kids do transition too quickly and or not use booster seats at all. It's a topic we all need to address.
Absolutely, and you guys probably have better ideas than I do, and that's you're the people we should be listening to. So yeah, any ideas?
Tell you about it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to take on the certification course. That's something I need to do, and I'm going to take that on a challenge to myself to get certified at that.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time today. We are grateful that you're here, and we appreciate your interest in child passenger safety. And we look forward to giving you all the support and probably more information than you'll ever want about car seats and the safe transportation of children. So thank you very much for being with us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for the opportunity. And if there's anything we can do from the NTSB side to help you also, we want to work together with you. So thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Right.
And everyone is silently clapping in their virtual Zoom rooms. Thanking you.
All right. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
So we are going to transition over to Adele Polson from Westat. She is going to provide us some updated information about the National Digital Check Form.
Thank you very much, Mandy. I'm assuming everybody can hear me okay. Is that right?
Yes, we can hear you.
Perfect. It's great to talk to everybody today, and we just wanted to give you a few important updates on the National Digital Car Seat Check Form. On behalf of myself and the entire program team, we thank you for your continued interest in and support of this program. So because of the pandemic, first up, the NDCF team recognized that there have been some changes and challenges possibly to the recertification cycle for many technicians. Usually our policy is to lock user accounts if their certification on file has expired. However, due to these unusual circumstances, we are giving users with expired certifications until December 1st. So everybody has until December 1st to upload your new recertification cards. Please remember to do that, you're going to go to the My Account tab and update profile, and then there are steps to submit your new certification card. Now for some details on the paper form update. Many of you have noticed that on October 1st, we released version 5.0 of the paper form. So if we can bring that up, there's version 5.0. Right after we released this version, several users reported issues with writing in the vehicle information. They were concerned that there wasn't sufficient space to write in all of the information. We heard you and we made an adjustment quickly. We released version 5.1 of the form. So let's see what that looks like. This version shortens the labels for the vehicle information to allow more room to write. This is the only change. These columns that I have highlighted right here, these boxes I have highlighted, those were the only changes to the form. So click one more time, you can kind of see. There we go. So the top is version 5.0, the bottom is version 5.1, very minimal changes. So if you have printed a bunch of copies of version 5.0 and would like to continue to use them, you can do so. 5.1 is there if you would like that shortened vehicle information labels, so you have more room to write in those boxes. So, we also wanted to review the timeline for the data dashboard updates and what it means to you. To quickly summarize our timeline, the year 1 data was released with the update to the NDCF on October 1st, and you have access to that data now. The year 2 data will be available in January of 2021. Starting in March, we're going to start providing monthly updates to the data. So on March 1st, you will be able to see the dashboards and download the data for January 2021 and all the data that's been collected to date. On April 1st, 2021, the February data will be available and so on. We are doing our best to work very hard and get you clean data as quickly as possible, but it does take us about 1 month to process all of it. So when the month ends on January 31st, we start cleaning all of that data. We need a whole month to clean it. So then on March 1st, we can release the clean data. Now remember, the current dashboards that are available only cover data collected from July 2018 through September 2019. So if you've tried to check out the dashboards and you've gotten this screen above, we don't want you to worry. That just means you don't have dashboard data yet. Now's the time to start using the NDCF and collecting car seat check data so your dashboards can be created. So as I just mentioned, we'll be releasing the first year 3 dashboards in March of 2021. So any data you collect between now and January 31st will be added to the dashboards we provide in March 2021. Please check out the dashboards and consider what we can do to make them more helpful to you. Our goal is to provide you with the most useful data and information possible. If there are specific counts or details you need to complete your reporting requirements for NHTSA, for your agency, or for anyone else, please let us know. Remember, you can access the dashboards from the Agency Admin tab or the My Account tab. And it's important to also remember that you have access to your raw data as soon as it's submitted from your car seat checks and your agencies or states checks. So you all can see the national dashboard to give you an idea of the types of things we can provide you with. But before I go on my presentation, I was hoping that you all could use your chat boxes to tell me and the rest of the NDCF team the most important piece of information you pull from your car seat check data. So my colleagues are monitoring the chat box, but if you could all just take a moment and think about the reporting you need to do as state coordinators and what is the most important piece of information you have to pull out of that car seat check data. And I see Mandy started us off with the overall misuse rate. And that is something we are providing on the national dashboard, and that will be available on everybody's state dashboard. But if there's anything else that you find yourself pulling out of your raw data all the time that we could provide you on the dashboard, please let us know. And then if you could also, using the chat boxes, tell me what other information you pull from your seat check data on a regular basis. We've been hearing some questions, but if we can start to get an idea of the common types of counts and details that people are pulling out of the data, we can make sure we present those in the dashboards for you and help make your job easier. Any other comments in the chat box, ladies? Have we seen anything else?
Mandy put in here seat checks and separately seat distributions.
Okay, right. And we currently don't have anything about seat distributions in the dashboard, so that's definitely something that we can look at in the future. Okay, kind of the last question I have for you guys to consider now, and you can obviously tell us your thoughts on this later, but if you had any question about car seat checks, what would it be? What are the things that you are most curious about knowing about the car seat checks you do, but also nationwide? Are there any questions or any things you're very curious about how we're doing with car seat checks? Please keep the feedback coming. And of course, the team's going to review it, and we're going to do our best to get that incorporated into the dashboard. And to provide your feedback, everybody can use the report feedback feature on the NDCF website. Please let us know what we can do to improve. This goes just not for the dashboards and the data we present in the dashboards, but also any aspect of the NDCF. And you get to automatically add to our list of feedback by using this report feedback feature. So after this discussion, if you think of other data items that you use in all your regional reports, NHTSA reports, grant reports, and anything that would be helpful for you to be able to easily pull out of the dashboard, please go ahead to the report feedback feature and let us know. You can also reach out directly to the NDCF program team for field training support, virtual seat check sign-offs, or to schedule an orientation training for your state or region. Please contact Jennifer, and you can do that at training@carseatcheckform.org. If you have questions about your account, need assistance collecting your state data, or setting up a primary contact for a particular program, please contact Joe at info@carseatcheckform.org. As always, please visit our website at carseatcheckform.org and the cpsboard.org for more information. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for the support of this program. And I believe I am now going to turn this over to Tammy to review some of the ways you can work with your raw data files, unless anyone has any last minute questions for me.
Adele, there was just one other comment about what is the biggest misuse. I think that's something that that I think could be across the board nationwide, or it could be within each individual state to determine what the biggest misuse is.
Okay, that's definitely something we can work on highlighting in the dashboard. We are currently providing you with a whole lot of misuse, but if we want to start ranking some of the misuse, we could certainly do that. Anything else? All right, then I think it's all yours, Tammy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Adele. I appreciate it. So I wanted to share a couple things with you. So just in case you don't know me, I'm Tammy Franks, and I am the Secretariat of the National Child Passenger Safety Board. So I have just a bunch of different topics to kind of present to end us up here at the end of this webinar. So the first one was we had some questions about counting in the raw data when you are downloading your data for the National Digital Car Seat Check Form. And so this is just to remind you of one of the Excel functions that may be able to help you. You'll see here that I have selected a very small amount of data and a very random topic, but I figured it was just one of the easy ones to show you how to do this. And then Jennifer I will save these slides and Jennifer will share this on the Listserv after the call so that you can have this if you're so you don't have to worry about notating all of this right now. But say, for example, you want to count how many of the car seats that come in have non-regulated products, and you want to do this quickly. And so what you can do is use a function in Excel that's the COUNTIF function. So it's all together as one, but pronounced COUNTIF function. And this counts the number of cells that meet the criteria that you specify. So what does that look like? And how difficult is this to do? So what you would do is you would download your raw data, just as Adele mentioned earlier. So you would log into your carseatcheckform.org and very simply click on download your check form data. If you're looking to run the data for your agency report, you would select agency report. If you wanted your user report just for you personally, you can select the user report. It will download a .csv file, which can easily be converted. Just do a save as an Excel file. That allows you to go in and set this formula. And so I'll walk you through this and then I'll show you an example. So in the formula line, you would just enter this equals COUNTIF, and then you would do the starting cell, which is the column and the row, the ending cell, and then also what you want to count. A couple things to point out. It's very important that you use the quotation marks here around Z, which is what you want to count. Additionally, you want to use okay, I lost my word here. The marks around, so these marks here. So sorry, I lost my words there. When you go to enter this, what's the first look? We want to count the yeses. So you would enter in equals COUNTIF, and then you would do your column BW with your starting row 2 with a colon down to BW 7. That would be your ending. If it went further, you would just extend that, then put in a comma, and then you would put in the word that you want to count or the value that you would want to count. That is a word. And then it will, once you run that, and it will give you 2. So I just use 6 to make it very easy here. And then you can do the same thing to count how many, if you want to figure out a percentage for all entries. So you would just use the asterisk sign between the quotation marks. Okay, so you see that there. And again, I said I would send out this information so that you have that as well. But this is a simple function to help you quickly count like yes and no's, or maybe type of vehicle that's coming in, or type of car seat, model of car seat, prior to the information being cleaned up and entered into your dashboard. So, you know, where you would use this application is if you need to do in October and the early November report, how many seat checks were done, and you needed to pull out particular data, you could run your raw data before it was cleaned and have that information to report. So hopefully that was helpful. Let's move on. I want to say thank you to everybody who has completed the Child Passenger Safety State and Territory Coordinators Survey that was sent out a couple weeks ago. We really appreciate you taking the time to fill it out. It allows us to better understand what resources and information you need. I'd like to give a big thank you to Jennifer and Mandy who have helped develop it, and just share with you a little bit about what we have learned. So we have received 28 replies. If you haven't had the opportunity to complete it, we will resend the link after this meeting. Please do take the time. It should only take a few minutes, and Jennifer will keep the survey open until the end of this week. So we asked you what you thought about the CPS coordinators forums, and those are the calls here. And you'll see that out of the 28 responses, 26 of the responses scored us a 4 or 5, with 5 being the most effective, 1 being low, and 5 being high. So we were really excited to see that, and that we're bringing you meaningful and helpful information. Additionally, we asked you about the Listserv, and that is through Google, the Google Listserv where we share emails, and we asked if the topics are relevant and timely. And 25 out of 27 responses indicated highly yes that they were, gave a 4 or 5. And so again, we're happy to hear that this is a useful tool. If you need help with signing up for the Listserv, please feel free to email either secretariat@cpsboard.org or email the secretariat at cpsboard.org, and we'll work on getting you signed up for the Listserv. And then finally, this was a great news as well, and the board is very happy to hear this, that you're using the Resource Center on cpsboard.org. About 86% of you are going to the board's website to use those resources. So we're happy to hear that. But most of all, we want to thank you for your suggestions. We're already making changes based on the information that you have shared. So the first thing that we did is that we created a vanity URL, which means that it's super easy to get to the recordings from the state CPS, state and territory CPS coordinators forum. So you'll see the vanity URL up there. You simply just need to type in cpsboard.org/CPS-coordinators-forum, and that will bring you up to a web page with all of the past recordings of the CPS coordinators forum. So for quick reference, maybe you want to go back and re-listen to something, an idea that was shared, or maybe you missed one of the presentations and you want to make certain to listen to it. This vanity link will take you right to that page. So we're trying to make it as easy for you as possible. Additionally, we received one of the comments was one small suggestion, maybe find a more prominent place for the tech guide PDF. And so we did make that change very quickly. And thank you to Ron Kramer for all of his help with the behind the scenes on the website. If you go to cpsboard.org and you click on the curriculum tab, on the right rail in the top is the image of the tech guide now, and you simply click on the tech guide and that will take you to the PDF version. So no longer do you have to scroll through the text to find the hyperlink. It is right there for you. You click on the image and you have the PDF. So thank you for providing that suggestion. Another suggestion, an update that we received is some people felt like they were receiving too many emails through the Listserv. And so Jennifer sent out information about how to update this to how to update your setting to the digest setting. So you only receive the emails once a day, all grouped together rather than as they come in to the Listserv. And if you need that information, we will reshare that information as well so that you have that. So again, keep the ideas coming. If you haven't had the opportunity to complete the survey, please do so because it is so helpful for us. The next topic that I wanted to briefly mention is just the upcoming forum topic ideas. So we're working on scheduling out the forums through the next couple months. These were the top suggestions that we received in the survey. And we'd like to know from you if you could enter in the checkbox which topic is of most interest to you. We will do our best to offer that one in December and then move forward from there. So the top 3 choices that were submitted was the retention of child passenger safety technicians. Another idea is the state level CPS advisory board. Another one is the state level CPS educational and awareness programs. And then we have another, anything that you would like to suggest. So please do take a couple minutes, and thank you for those of you who've already started entering them. It looks like retention, we've got 3 votes for that already, maybe 4. So keep entering them and let us know. And then we will be notifying you of the topic for the upcoming forum based on the interest here. We appreciate that immensely. So I think it looks like hands down, Amy, that retention is winning, but we will definitely move on. Additionally, Amy Artuso has asked if you have some great ideas about retention or things that are working for your state and you would like to share, could you please just enter that in the chat box for us now? And she will reach out to you to help schedule your presentation to see if you'd be willing to present during the next forum. So if you have some great ideas, maybe your state is rocking that retention, especially during the pandemic, you figured it out and you want to share, please enter that in there as well. And then finally, I wanted to promote one additional learning opportunity for you. We hope that you will join us. The Road to Zero Coalition through the National Safety Council in December, on Tuesday, December 8th at 2 p.m. will be providing a webinar on child passenger safety. So the Road to Zero's Coalition is a shared mission of getting to zero deaths by 2050 cannot be achieved without addressing the safety of our youngest road users. This webinar will explore child passenger safety, including current trainings, trends, and research around the topic. Attendees of this webinar will learn about the opportunities to improve child passenger safety, both systematically and in their own communities. So I encourage you to join us. I believe that Amy is sharing the link in the chat box so that for this webinar, you can click on that and register. It is free to attend. You are welcome to share this with your child passenger safety communities. Both Amy and I will be presenting during this, as well as another presenter from the state of Alabama. Some really interesting upcoming technologies and ways of learning child passenger safety. So I'm excited to be participating and honored, and I think it'll be a great opportunity for you as well. So I encourage you. Okay. And then finally, on to questions. Mandy, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you. And first, I want to thank both you and Adele. We are getting so much information through these forums. It's really, really helpful to know what's available and to know that our voice is heard. We can reach out and tell you what we need or what we're interested in and find that out. So I would really encourage all of you to share your ideas for these forum meetings, or if you have someone really fantastic in your state that is doing some wonderful things, share that person with us. We want to highlight the good work that they're doing and make it available to everyone. They can set the example and show us how it's done. Does anybody have any quick questions before we wrap up? This hour flew by. I'll let you type in your questions for a minute. And I just wanted to, again, express my appreciation for Member Graham. I really felt like he took the time today to see what we're about and what our focus is and our stance and what we're doing. And I think that speaks a lot to occupant protection. And I feel like we have an advocate. I feel like we have someone that we can reach out to and share our ideas with and lean on. So I would encourage all of you to let us know or reach out to him, and we can create some partnerships and work together. But I want to thank you all for being here today. Yes, Tammy, I'm on board to get him as a CPS tech. I think we don't let anybody get out without an invitation to join. We really love that. So I would like to thank you all for being here today. Please remember to send in your ideas, send in your questions, and let us know how we can help you promote CPS in your community and support you. So thank you for joining us today. Tammy, you can go ahead and end the recording, and everyone have a safe and wonderful day. Thank you.